only, like toilet paper is our go-to.
I love getting my hair cut, especially when there's a scalp massage involved.
But she would say, your body is a temple and you need to take care of it.
We have a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, where he just ate garbage. How long was that? A year?
Do this. I can't do this without Cassie and the kids enabling me to do this.
I find myself encouraging myself, so I'm like, no, you can do this. Don't give up.
We got lots to say.
I love my husband so much and my son. I had a baby. Her name is Isla.
I want to see the baby. I've definitely had multiple drinks on multiple episodes.
Loosen up.
It's a podcast. We're here to have fun, so enjoy yourself.
Wow. Okay. Off the top, I have this
Letting it rip.
idea. Maybe it exists out there. Probably it does. It's The Office, but they've removed any sound that doesn't qualify as ASMR. And so it's the show, but all you hear is like the ASMR sounds.
Okay.
Instead of people talking and stuff. Like, is that, do you think people do this? Like, you could edit the episodes so that it would feature only those things?
I am almost certain that you can do anything.
Fair, yeah.
I don't think I would want to watch that.
Some people
That
might.
said, I'm not the
the
sorry, I was trying to
voice
pull up
of
Instagram.
the people.
Well, that's it. Like my opinion doesn't speak for anyone else. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because I think for me, the reason why I like the show so much is the writing.
Agreed. Yeah. I think this would have to be very short. It wouldn't be full episodes. I think it would be like 3 minutes. You know how TikTok has those like 3 to 6 minute clips or whatever? I don't know how long people like to listen to ASMR either, but I wonder.
I want to say something about ASMR videos and something about The Office. So I'll start with The Office. I saw a friend of mine sent me a messenger video, and it was celebrities that look like each other, part 4 or whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay. The first 2 were Keira Knightley and Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
Who look very similar.
Yeah.
James Dean Morgan, I think his name is.
Okay. Look him up.
Yeah, James Dean Morgan. He's in, I think, he's in The Walking Dead and The Boys and stuff like that.
Okay.
And Javier Bardem. Bardem
now I have to look him up.
Yeah, we might have to post some pictures of these guys. He's Spanish, but he was in No Country for Old Men, I think is what many people may remember him from. He's the guy walking around with that air tank.
Oh, I see it. I see it. Yes. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I've confused them, actually. Yeah, okay.
I know. They look so close. I think there was a third one. I can't remember, and then it showed John Krasinski.
Yeah.
And in my head, I was like, this is so... I mean, there's only one direction it could go, and it was Randall Park.
I don't know.
Who is the guy that plays Asian Jim.
Oh, my God.
In the series. Yeah, It was just really, really... I thought it was great.
That's amazing.
Bit of a sneak attack with that one. I used to love ASMR videos.
Okay.
And I think, I don't know. You know, there's
many lanes of ASMR.
Sweet spot. Well, that too. But I think there's a sweet spot in terms of how much ASMR it is. I feel like this is really bright in here, eh? My hand looks just pale, like it's see-through.
Washed out.
When it's too quiet, it doesn't matter, right? Like you can't. But I feel like so many ASMR videos now are just obscenely loud.
Oh, like they're taking over the sound.
Yeah. Completely. Like I need to Yeah, I need to enjoy the sound. I don't need to be molested by it.
That's such an interesting adjective to use. I think a lot of people feel molested by ASMR in the first place. So I don't like it's like dealer's choice type of thing, but there's so many lanes. Like there's ASMR specific to scalp care. Have you seen these? So
I've
like
seen
they'll go
one...
in and it's like a special technique. They use these tiny fine brushes. It's like mostly dandruff removal, but then they do like nice like oils at the end and like they really zoom in. It's like very artistic looking. And the sound doesn't irritate me the way some ASMRs do, but like a lot of them are like tap the mic and like things being so amplified by the mic. And maybe this is where it has crossed the line, is that it's so amplified, some of them, that you're like,
I think I would agree to that, yeah.
My ears don't need to hear this closely.
There was one I'm thinking of in particular where this gentleman, he's a barber, and he's got his microphones like pro-wrapped, like to his wrists, and he's just like brushing in the barber soap or whatever, and it's just too much bristling. Anyway, it doesn't need to be that loud.
You're like, you're like, I don't need to be in the follicle listening.
It's weird. I love watching it. You know what I mean? It's peaceful. It's nice to see someone take care of themselves. But then I got to switch it because it grates my ears.
You just listen to it with no volume.
And I had a question about. You talked about the oils and stuff. You watch some of these content creators.
Yeah.
And they'll put like 7 layers of different serums and oils and unguents and whatever else. I can't imagine. All of these things have a specific purpose.
Oh, dude. Yeah, so yes and no. I think it's overkill. It's a case by case basis, I think, because I know people with like curly hair, people who are like have like there's a specific name.
Other hair.
No, like the hair texture of somebody, like a black person, has a specific name. I just like can't think of it now. Anyways,
I can't say the one that I think it is.
Okay. And thank you. And but like there's specific care that has to go into their type of hair, especially if they're doing a specific style.
I gotta Google black
like there's
hair.
There's different, like you can I won't do it justice. I don't know enough about it to like speak on it. I just know that there's a lot of care and a lot of methods of caring for their hair specifically. And a lot of it is like product and oils and what kind of pillowcase you sleep on, or like they wear head wraps and like silk bonnets and things like this.
Oh,
so that their hair is
those
like
ones
protected.
Are sweet to watch, and they get the waves too.
And so to me, that type of hair does require like an extreme level of product at times.
The care,
yeah. Curlier hair tends to. Do you need 7 products? I don't think so. Like I think 2 or 3 on average is kind of what people seem to require.
I have 1. And I use it everywhere.
For everything.
Like the men's plus 7 and everything kind of thing.
Yeah, per plus. And that being said, there's lots of different people with lots of different hair texture, and I think most of it just has to do with preventing dryness, because I've noticed most people with curly hair, their hair is really, like, if it's not taken care of properly, looks dry. And I think this has a lot to do with the very little I know, again, about hair, is that curly hair is like hollow. If you were to picture like a hollow tube.
Okay.
Curly hair is a hollow tube more or less, whereas straight hair is like a knot. It's like a peg or a stick. So like it stays straight.
The Wikipedia page I was just on showed round hair follicles is straight, oval shaped hair follicles is curly, and then it's flat. It's almost like a rounded rectangle, and that's what gives you that really, really wavy hair.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just adding to it.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's broken down even further, is what I understood. What you saw, maybe.
And I don't know then, because if I had like, I don't have curly hair or anything like that, but I just don't know that I'd have the patience to take care of it properly.
To care for it, yeah. It's a labor of love, I think. And I think that's why a lot of people who have curly, wavy, super curly hair, they just straighten it. Because it's like straightening it, might give you like, it's not going to tangle. It's like way easier to manage. Often you can like pull it back, tie it back, do different styles with it. Yeah. So that being said, it is a lot of care, and it can be a lot of product. And then I'm just thinking of like the amount of money that you would spend on all of these things, because like good hair products, you can shop around and like go to Winners and things like that, or Sally Beauty if you wanted something that's like a good quality for less, but you're still gonna end up spending a pile more over the course of your lifetime than people who don't need it.
I was into, and I should get back into it, because it's really good when you listen to health-based podcasts to just, I feel healthy just listening to it. I don't have to actually do anything, put any effort into it. But the Ultimate Human podcast with Gary
Ultimate
Brecka.
Human podcast. I'm going to write this down.
And I feel like some of our listeners already know. I think John, my boy John, what's up, buddy?
Hello.
He always texts us if anything is even in the ballpark of inappropriate.
Of racist. I remember you telling me this.
Yeah. He's tries to keep
like
us on the straight and narrow.
Flags.
Oh yeah, and I don't know. He must be losing his mind. But
sorry, John.
I think he knows this guy, and I think he's listened to some of his podcasts, and he's got really good information. And he had this one German doctor on, and she specializes in skincare products. And the reason why she got into it is because, and they're really focused in this episode about how things that you put on your body get in your body. I don't know if you've heard people talk about receipts and how bad they are for you to just touch, because there's BPA and all kinds of stuff in it. I feel like you'd have to be wrapped in receipt paper and lay there for 10 years before it would do any damage.
Would do anything significant. Okay.
That's not a quote, but that's what I feel like. But the point is, if you're putting on lipstick or sunscreen or whatever, the chemicals in that product are going to be in your body now, not just on your body.
Yeah.
And so she's developed a complete line of skincare products for any kind of problem you may have: complexion, breakouts, oiliness, dryness, whatever. And that they're all very, very well constructed, created, whatever, so that they've got great ingredients that don't harm you, essentially.
That's awesome.
But I went to her website to look at the things that she had. The sample ones.
I'm scared.
Were
How
like
much?
$70.
Ooh, bro.
You could, and they always do the bundles so that you can do your whole protocol kind of thing. And they were like $300, $400, $500. I could not. Oh man. I wish this I had fuck you money so I could just, you know what I mean?
This ties into a TikTok I was watching yesterday, and this woman was breaking down why she believes that Ozempic will break down the barriers of the like the classism associated with like obesity. versus thinness. Like, she was comparing it to, long ago, being a bit plump was a sign of wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's think medieval times. Like, if you were eating well, then you were rich. And if you were poor, then you were thin. So it like wasn't a commodity. Whereas when the Industrial Revolution came around, it flipped, and then suddenly like it was more we'll say like, well, held in high regard, like to be thin. She breaks it down like much more concisely, but I'm just giving you
I'm so rich
notes.
I don't have to eat.
Right, more or less. Yeah, like I can spend my money on other things instead. I don't know. And now we've gotten to a point in time where it's like, if you have money, you can afford to buy healthy food and you're not eating takeout or crappy.
And you know what? That's a real problem.
Freezer stuff. And yeah, it really is a problem. And now obesity is seen as something that only really affects quote unquote poor people, when that, maybe not necessarily true, but like if you can't afford a personal trainer or healthy food or whatever, then you're poor. And so there's like a weird perspective around that exists now. And so she was saying that her belief is that Ozempic's expensive now, so it's still like something that the wealthy can access more or less. However, with all, we'll say, popular drugs, there always is it's going to come down in price because of supply demand. And then also there's going to be, I don't want to call them knockoffs because it makes it sound like it's not legitimate, but there will be other brands that come up with other more affordable, same product, right?
Like Schmozempic or something.
Schmozempic, exactly. Yeah. Keep a lookout for that, folks. But yeah, she was saying that it's no longer going to be a status symbol to be thin, because then you could just get on Ozempic, get thin, and like Bob's your uncle. And I also heard another theory that it's also going to, like, the way, maybe I talked about this before, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but the way that we view Ozempic now is like, oh, it's like weight loss is such a problem, not a problem, but like people struggle with it. Obesity epidemic, people with poor eating habits, again, access to healthy foods. Ozempic is going to like eliminate that more or less. And then we're just going to have like, hopefully, healthier people overall.
This was her thoughts.
Not her. No, sorry. This was someone else's thoughts that I'm adding on to just because I happen to be talking about this.
What are your thoughts on that?
I just thought it was interesting. It kind of tied into what you were saying about the last point you made.
God, no, I can't. Like, look at this.
You were talking
about
couple
of ADHDers trying to remember something from 2 seconds ago.
You were talking about this podcast, and he brought.
Oh, yeah. The stuff that goes on your skin goes into your body.
Yeah. So I have a feeling that like things like Ozempic are going to be a lot more prevalent and like developed more in future. And so I don't know if I can foresee that becoming less and less of an issue, but then conversely becoming more of an issue because people might go, oh, who cares what I'm putting in my body? I'm on this drug, But hopefully it does something positive and it helps people access, like make better healthy choices overall. Because I think a big part of it is it suppresses appetite.
Yeah.
And so hopefully when people are eating, that they're making good choices, because they're like, well, it's my like one of two meals a day, so like let's make it worth it, right?
As someone who eats usually one meal, max 2 meals a day, I promise you that has nothing That enters into my calculus in no way.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
interesting.
I'll just eat
okay.
whatever. I mean, I'm making poor choices, of course.
Okay.
I'm curious. I mean, Ozempic is a synthetic drug.
Oh, right. Yep.
So, do you feel like it's an appropriate solution to the problem? Assuming we're talking about obesity as a problem.
I wish it weren't, right? I wish that everybody had the willpower enough to like make good choices, but our brains operate on like a dopamine receptor basis most of the time. And so a piece of chocolate is going to make your dopamine increase way more than a piece of spinach, right? Will it fix the problem? I think it will help fix part of the problem, right? Like it'll help people perhaps lose weight who have been maybe trying to for years or need to for health reasons, that sort of thing. And hopefully for the long term, hopefully it has some long-term effects and like not major side effects too, obviously, because then that doesn't help either. But yeah, I think I'm hopeful that it will actually be helpful.
And
what do you
what
think?
I'm hearing from you is that it's not the solution; it's just a potential part of a larger solution.
It can be.
Okay.
It can easily be a component that will help assist people in
there's no point turning
lifestyle and lifelong changes.
There's no point turning our nose up at something. My initial thought here is, typically what happens when people try to lose weight is they'll go on a diet, and then they'll lose weight, and then they'll go right back to how they were eating before, and then they'll gain the weight, and that's what they call the yo-yo diet.
Vicious cycle,
And so what I think is the only way for long-lasting and effective change to occur is for people to change their lifestyles.
Yeah.
Completely. And I feel like, someone who's trying to implement a lot of lifestyle changes himself, I can vouch for how difficult it is to change how you think about things on a day-to-day basis.
Totally.
It is really, really hard, and it's mentally exhausting. And there's already enough going on in your life and in the world, and so I can understand why this happens to people. But what I really see Ozempic is if people are, I don't know, maybe it's a boost just to, someone puts their hands out and you stick your foot in there to get over the wall kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
And then maybe it gives you just a bit of that taste of success and that little bit of pride with progress and development. And then maybe it's a lot easier to develop the right habits and the healthy lifestyle. And then eventually, hopefully eventually, Ozempic is not required. But yeah, that's I love how we started off on ASMR and now we're talking about Ozempic. This is incredible. It's my favorite thing.
I would love to tie this into when we had Ashley on. We were she mentioned that in her yoga training, one of her favorite, so there's yamas and niyamas. It's like the do's and don't do's of life.
Yeah.
And the one I think that she mentioned, we all know that. Sorry, just refreshing for myself, I guess. Yamas and niyamas, and she said that the one that stood out to her the most, I think, was ahimsa, which was well, I'll read my Cole's notes on it. So non-violence, which ways do we commit violence every day? Yoga asks us to commit non-violence, including all spirits.
I don't know what the spirits thing means.
Like, I think it's more like in thought and in like, sorry, like it's not just for us in daily life. It's like our thoughts and like how we perceive our soul,
Okay.
so
I see
that
what you're
we
saying.
take that with us for forever, for eternity. And sorry, me wanting to tie this into what we're talking about is like, it could be the first step in committing nonviolence to yourself, because I'm referring back to Ashley, because she was like, the big part of it was like being nice to herself was a huge takeaway from the training, and it like, we'll say, helped her blossom into the wonderful yogi she is today. And I think
is
that
she a yogi?
yes.
Don't you have to be like a black belt or something in yoga before you can have that title? No?
I don't think so.
Oh, is it like CrossFit? You just go for a weekend and you're yogi?
Certified. I mean, as a teacher, do you qualify as a yogi, do you think?
I don't know. I always thought it had something to do, because I mean, if we're being very honest, you can teach yoga, but yoga is meant to be lived. And I feel like the yogis are the people who live it. And I'm not saying she doesn't. I'm just asking.
I think yes. Like, she's not a Buddhist monk. You know what I mean?
No, that has nothing to. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah, so it's not like that level of lifestyle, we'll say, but I would say she is. Yeah.
That's
so, anyways, tying this all back to the Ozempic conversation we're having. So, like, if taking Ozempic one time is the first thing that makes you consider, I should do other good things for myself, you know what I mean? It's that trickle down effect, the domino effect of like, I will be good to myself. I will stop being bad to myself. Because like, in this course that I'm taking, she kind of likens it to, we want the donut. Do we know that the donut is bad for us? Yes. Do we still eat it? Probably. And so it's like, not so much about like, don't berate yourself if you eat the donut. It's just like, do things that are good for your body, good for your soul. Like, eating a donut's not good for you, so like, avoid those things, right? Nobody's perfect, but
it could also mean too, like, the occasional donut's not a problem either.
Yeah, don't let it take over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My huge takeaway from this is do drugs just once, which is a huge 180 from what we were taught in school, which was don't do drugs, not even once. But anyway,
I'm sensing a title of the episode: "Do drugs just once."
Do drugs. I was gonna say, I feel like we don't understand the physiology as much as we should.
Sure. Yeah.
It's a negative feedback loop when we put things into our body, because one of the ways Gary Brecka talks about what food is on his podcast is food isn't, we don't eat food to feed ourselves. We eat food to feed the things in our body. All the bacteria, all the whatever it is inside your stomach, that's the stuff that eats the food, and then it gets distributed throughout your body.
Microbiome.
Yeah, and that microbiome is tied directly to your brain. Like, you eat a great piece of chocolate or something, and you go, oh fuck yeah, like that's the dopamine hit. And so we think we want these things, but we actually don't. It's just the habit we've created inside ourselves. So if you can get away from it for long enough, you stop having those cravings. You reset the relationship between, your brain and your body, which is weird because the brain is your body. And that's something I aspire towards. And when I did keto, it was evident that was factual.
Yeah.
But then I just went on this huge life-changing dopamine binge that I've not stopped since.
Oh, interesting.
well, I mean, it's just you eat the foods that make you happy. Yeah. You go do the things that make you happy instead of sometimes the things you should be doing.
Right.
And that's part of the problem too. When we're,
when is it self-care and when does it cross the line and become,
well, that's it. And I think
like greedy. Yeah.
And I don't think we're really honest when it comes to self-care.
Mm-hmm.
I think self-care might not be as intense as avoiding all sugar all the time,
Right.
but self-care could just be saying, yeah, like I'm tired today, but I didn't really do anything. You know what I mean? But it's like, okay, take a step back. And let's appreciate everything that you did today, everything that happened the last couple of days, because you didn't come into today fresh. Plus, you're busy thinking about the future, which you shouldn't be doing outside of normal
outside of your control. Yeah.
And so maybe self-care is just taking an afternoon to read a book and do nothing.
Whoa.
And yeah, I think that could be it. I don't know what I was saying before that.
You were connecting the brain to the stomach.
Yeah, it was after that though. Oh God, this is brutal. Anyway,
before self-care.
Oh fuck, I don't know. It's gone. It's totally gone. The important thing here is I think one of the important things here is we can have, let's talk about, I was going to talk about dopamine. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like everything about our society is built around instant gratification.
Yeah.
And so you know why it's called doom scrolling?
I don't, actually.
It's because it's the same principle as the food in your stomach. When you pick up your phone and you start scrolling TikTok or Instagram or whatever, you get that dopamine hit and then you just keep going. But, ask any former drug addict and they'll tell you that the hits stop feeling like the first one. So you got to get more and you got to get more and you got to get more. So that's what really doom scrolling is. And you think,
you're never going to fill that void.
I'm entertaining myself. I'm just relaxing. But you're actually doing is starving your brain's ability to produce dopamine when you need it. Ooh. And now the things that used to bring you joy don't, because they don't hit as hard as TikTok or social media. So sitting down and, reading a book or spending time with someone or going for a walk, all these things are boring and less stimulating because you've spent the last, especially our generation. I mean, we grew up in the Stone Age and now look at where we are. It's just like we're the rats in the cage hitting that button, getting the morphine until we die. So what it really boils down to is understanding how your neurotransmitters function and recognizing that every time you get a hit of dopamine,
feed them.
Don't feed them. Every time you get a hit of dopamine, you have to come back down. Your body wants to, it's called hormesis.
Ooh.
And not only did I learn this in Big Bang Theory, but there's this great book. I got it right here by Anna Lemke, MD. I don't know if you can see that. It's called Dopamine Nation. Ooh. And there's a great little chart that I'll hopefully we can include in here.
Yeah.
And it illustrates what I'm talking about. So dopamine levels, anticipation, and craving. So I don't know if you can see that very well. Tell me. Ooh, I'm on full screen, so is that clear?
Yep.
So the anticipation builds that excitement and it creates that dopamine that's about to come crashing down on you. And then you can see that it dips right afterwards. And then it goes up. You get your dopamine hit, but then you come crashing right back down. And so the larger the dopamine hit we get from the stimulus, there's an equal fall on the other side of that peak. And and that's why, I mean,
the yin yang.
It's hard to, it's hard to relate it to, but sometimes that general brain fog you feel, or that malaise, that's what it's from. It's because nothing in our world brings us joy and happiness anymore, because the only thing that brings us joy and happiness can be found on these little bastards. Which, if you're not watching, is a smartphone.
Yeah, I would say, like, not true joy and happiness, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not the joy and happiness that's going to make you feel fulfilled.
It's the Ozempic the joy and
happiness. Yeah, it's the man-made. Yeah, totally. It's the Ozempic of dopamine, of happiness.
Well, it's the Ozempic of trying to bring joy into your life.
Yeah,
trying to feel good about yourself, or I don't know. So this has actually been something that's been, my therapist recommended this book, Dopamine Nation. I highly recommend it. Maybe this will be part of the giveaway for episode 100. But it says right here, finding balance in an age of indulgence.
That's so fascinating. I've been sorry. I will go after you've completed your thought.
No, please. I was just gonna say, I don't like. I've done a media fast before, where I spent a week.
Yeah.
Just not consuming any, and I tell you, it was boring.
Right.
I was so fucking bored. But a week is not long enough. And just like weight loss, it has to be a lifestyle change. It has to be better boundaries, better personal control, and better understanding of yourself and your surroundings.
Right. And being able to identify when your brain is like, I need dopamine. Right?
Yeah, well,
so that you can say no if you need to. Yeah.
Yeah, that awareness is I think really key, because I think so many times, and we've talked about this a lot on the show. Don't forget what you were going to say. I worry that we're going to forget that.
Oh, no, I don't think I will. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Fuck, I just forgot what I was going to say.
We've talked about this before on the show.
Yeah, we think we're better than we are. We think we're more mindful than we are, and we actually don't really. Like, think about any time you've snapped at your kids, or you're just like complaining. You know what I mean? You're not living in awareness. I feel like that sounds too hokey, but what I'm saying is you're not observing your thoughts.
Yeah.
You just have these thoughts, and you think they're your own creation, and now they control you. When in actuality is, you need to take a step back and question those thoughts. Why do I feel this way? What is causing this imbalance? And then you can approach it from a more informed angle, and hopefully find a better, a better, not a solution,
approach.
And honestly, for most people, I don't even think there needs to be anything done. It's just that awareness. Observing your thoughts is probably enough for you to realize that you don't need to react the way you're going to react. It gives you just that right amount of space to hopefully take a step back and go, I got a really good metaphor about the sun I heard today, but I'll wait until we talk about your point, because
metaphor about the sun. Okay. I was gonna say I only in very short bits of time am able to observe the youth of today. And one of the girls on the bus said that she was arguing with her teacher about, because they've implemented like a no phone policy for different age groups in schools. And so
if I was a teacher, there'd be 0 fucking phones.
So I think the reason they didn't have any regulations about phones until this year is my understanding. And so kids could have their phones technically anytime. And if you were a teacher that was like no phones, a child could feasibly you know, say, oh, my mom might try and get a hold of me. I need to have my phone with me in class or whatever, right? Like they can make up a fib about anything.
Call the office. So they'll call me. Problem solved.
Exactly. But they didn't have any, we'll say, rights. The teachers didn't, and the schools didn't, because there wasn't this technical regulation in place. So now that exists, they actually can say, no, you're not allowed to have your phone. These are the rules. These are the rules for everyone. They are the same rules for everybody. I shouldn't say for everyone because it's age-based. So in grade school, they're not allowed phones at all. Like, they don't want to see a phone with a kid that is in grade school. So I think that's grade 6 and below. Middle school students, I think, are allowed to have phones in their lockers. So I don't think they're supposed to be like traveling or have them out or anything like that, but like in their lockers is fine. And then high school students can have their phones, but not in class.
Yeah.
So, and like, nobody's ever told us that they can't have them on the bus. I don't believe that the bus counts as like school time. I don't think.
Yeah. Well, you're not
as
in
a
class.
School,
it's
as a school bus driver, I want them to have their phones.
Yeah,
it's a distraction.
Yeah, for sure.
And they aren't annoying each other, right?
Or
as
you.
Much like, or me, yeah. I mean, they definitely can annoy me with their phones if they're playing dumb stuff on it, but
yeah.
But she was saying that she was more or less trying to have this argument with her teacher. Sorry, not a bug. Okay, I thought there was a bug on the floor. I was about to lose it.
We are so ADD riddled.
And but like trying to function.
Yeah.
And she was arguing with her teacher, saying, my phone needs me. It's not even that I need my phone. My phone needs me. My phone
That's
can't
so
live without
funny.
me.
I love how clever some people are.
Yeah, I was like, that is such a grade 7 thing to say. Trying to be like so clever, and like, it's just, oh my goodness. And it just made me laugh because I was like, you're coming up with arguments that are completely impossible so that you can get your way, so that you can get your dopamine fix. And she's like, I just want to scroll TikTok for 20 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, because your brain wants dopamine. Like, you're 11 and 12 and 13 years old. Like,
you're addicted.
Your brain has an addiction problem already, and it's to a device. It's wild. And obviously they don't understand that at all. We don't even have the long-term effects of this. Like, we have knowledge on how it impacts kids and different age groups, but we don't have a generation of people that was born into it and has lived with it their whole lives and is dying with it, right? Like, that is only like, we're at the beginnings of that right now. So I feel like, it'll be interesting to see the evolution, and if we make choices to like not get sucked in by it, or if people just kind of accept that we're all just living in this reality where we get dopamine from our phones and we just feed it all the time. You know what I mean? Like, which way are we going to go? And so I also feel like implementing rules like this one in schools where kids have to put their phones away is an effort to create that habit forcibly so that they're not constantly on their phones, so that they are forced to have a break, so that they understand that, like, don't do this all the time.
I just pulled up a quick article here. It's peer-reviewed, totally scientific.
Right.
I know that sounded not legit, but it's legitness. They say overall our results are consistent with the hypothesis that social media might be partly responsible for the recent deterioration in mental health among teenagers and young adults.
I believe that. Yeah.
And I mean, I'll read the whole thing and I can talk about it next time. But yeah, I feel like it's intuitive from so many different angles. I wanted to comment on that beautiful remark from that student. My phone needs me.
My phone needs me. Yeah.
That's like a deeply conceptual rebuttal, and I think that's impressive. That kid's obviously very clever and very smart. But it's also, you know, as a kid, there's almost nothing in your life that you're allowed to control. You're listening to your parents, you're listening to your teachers, you're listening to your bus driver, all your other friends.
That's what teenage. Sorry, your sense of self is a big part of being a teenager. Yeah.
Well, that's true, and I think part of them trying to explore their self and determine that is trying to exercise some sort of control over their lives. And I see arguments like that or you know, because that's what I didn't know this then, but I mean I was that kid. I had a comment for everything.
Phone needs me. Yeah.
It wasn't my phone needs me though. Man, in high school we just got Facebook and we were just poking each other. The kids these days don't even know what pokes are on Facebook. You know what I mean?
Know. Yeah,
fucking losers. But I mean, it's the only control they have is to try to win an argument or to try to get their way. You know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah.
It's not for nothing. You know what I mean? They're just trying to exercise the only thing that they can.
Yeah. There's a quote that I heard on a podcast I like very much. Wife of the Party, Bert's wife Leanne.
Oh yeah.
Is the host, and she talks about, you know, how she raised her daughters a lot because it comes up in conversation a bunch, and it was like the major primary focus of a huge chunk of her life. And she was like, the teenage years can more or less be summarized by like the following sentence, which is, I can do it by myself. Now give me a ride to my friend's house.
Oh, that's so fucking true, right?
Yeah.
Man, like Olivia
it is exercising wanting to be an adult, and I can do this. I want to do this by myself. I'll show you I can do this by myself, except for they cannot do everything by themselves. Now give me a ride to my friend's house.
Man.
Yeah.
And they don't even realize they're walking around with that crutch, you know?
Yeah. I think they do, and that's a huge, that's a huge.
Oh, maybe,
part of it.
And it upsets them.
Yes. Yeah. Vicious cycle.
Olivia kind of goes down that road whenever she's got like this 11 o'clock, 10:30 fucking appointment with bothering us. She'll wake up crying or having a bad dream or something, and we found out that the short circuit solution is to get her to go to the bathroom.
Right.
Oftentimes she'll ask you to carry her, and I honestly give into this a lot because I don't care. I know one day it's going to stop. She's not going to want me to carry her. So
yeah, totally.
I'm just trying to get it in as much as I can, and so I'll take her to the bathroom, and then she'll go, get out. So now I gotta get out and close the door so she can have privacy. Oh my god, I feel like it's just that. Like, I need your help now. Leave me alone.
Yeah,
like, yeah. And she's only 5. I can't wait 10 years. Blech.
In even 8 years, she's not going to be asking you to hold her anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
she is going to still be telling you to get out. So definitely take the snuggles while you.
It's weird. She demands her privacy when she goes to the bathroom, but she has no problem with everyone seeing the massive dump she's left in the toilet.
Oh yeah,
what a bitch.
That's such an interesting thing. I heard something about like the psychology of a child when they poop is that like when they're learning to potty train, they're learning to like let go of the attachment they have to that to feces. They're like, this came out of my body, so they think it's part of them, and so they have to let go of like the thought that it is, and accept that it's not. And so she's like really accepted that it's not part of her anymore. She's like, this is so not part of me.
This is part of someone else's problem.
Yeah. Immediately no.
Immediately no.
I wanted to talk about quickly, unrelated, sorry. This TikTok account that I stumbled across, I sent to you. This whole account is stories that somebody makes up and has had AI produce pictures to support it, to make it seem real.
Oh, yeah.
The first one that I read was like a pregnant lady said that her dream was to summit Mount Everest, and she was 33 weeks pregnant and decided to go do this. And like the whole catch about the story was like, you'll never believe what happened. And I'm like, oh, let me guess. She goes into labor, and then sure enough, I'm scrolling through. But as I'm going through the pictures, I'm realizing, because like they're not really close up. And then the first close up picture, I'm like, oh, that's fucking AI.
Yeah,
and so
the
I'm
hands
scrolling
are
back
always
through,
fake.
Yeah. And then I look at the whole account, and the whole account is just like TikTok after TikTok of like different stories that they've made up and different AI pictures that they've inserted into it. Oh my gosh. I was like, I have been fooled. I did not like that.
The cool thing about it though, and I've thought about this before, is you can use AI to generate content for you automatically. Like you can have it scheduled and everything, and then you can create content for an online presence with way less effort. The problem is the
I didn't think of that.
Yeah. The barriers are you got to pay for the good AI.
Sure. Or else you're getting some. Yeah.
Do you know
what? Version.
Do you know why the AI hands are always so fucked up?
I don't know why. I do know that they are fucked up, but I don't know why. Do you know?
This
why?
is an educated guess.
Okay.
Educated is a rich word. This is a guess on my part. I do know that hands are the hardest body part to draw.
Okay. Interesting.
Normally, I think I remember the first time I was asked the question, which is a weird thing to remember, but I always assumed it was the eye. I don't know why. But the hand's a really tricky thing to draw and get right. So I imagine it's a really difficult thing to get a computer to do.
To generate hands, yeah. Because there's probably no, like, hands are probably not repeating themselves or consistent across the internet.
And like
that's
I'm thinking
kind of
about
what it's based off of, right?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Data and information.
So like I know like in animation studios they'll have software that can handle all this kind of stuff, but it's software, it's not an algorithm. I'm sure there's algorithms in it, but AI is a large language model. It's pulling data from a specific set of information, and depending on how it's structured, it might be good at learning what it's supposed to be doing. Once you give it feedback, it kind of saves that, which is actually, I mean, there's some really cool ways that's been employed. I love the Stuxnet virus, which we can get into if you want.
I've never heard of this. No, there was something else I wanted you to talk about, and I don't know if we have enough time, but you came across this interesting theory, and so maybe we can leave it like a cliffhanger. I don't know. But tell the people what the theory is.
Well, it's an odd one. I've been I got a lot of interesting pages I follow on TikTok. A lot of people talking about how sort of ancient wisdom and knowledge has been used to create our technological advances. So a lot of examples are, you can look at microprocessor chips and all the pieces on the chip are the same layout as like Angkor Wat in Thailand from above, kind of thing.
Right.
Maybe not a factually correct example, but it illustrates what I'm talking about. And so I found a lot of this stuff, and they're really cool because those things are plausible, I think. Nature repeats itself, and there's only so much information you can have. Actually, what I wanted to say is nature is just a fractal, right? So it makes sense that we would find information in one place and be able to use it in another. I feel like it's a loose connection, but I think there may be something there. But one of the pages I follow, this guy, if I actually could one day, I'd love to see if I could get him on the podcast, because he's very educated in what he's talking about in terms of the information he's consumed about it and how he has synthesized it into his own thoughts. But it's this belief that a lot of our modern day society and civilization hasn't been built, hasn't been created, it's been discovered. And the biggest example they use is a lot of buildings that have, so there's an article here and it talks about different architectural styles, like built in the 1920s. The Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank was one of several ornate Western style commercial buildings in Shanghai's Bund district. And I think a lot of these things are saying, okay, this is in this style, and based on how old it is, it kind of doesn't match up with where it's located. And a lot of the ones in the States, you'll see like, buildings that are on streets and stuff like that, where the front door is on one level, but the back door is on a bottom level kind of thing. And the side facade is all like this older construction, and then they've built on top of it. They're like, no, you didn't build this, you found it and then you added to it. And the idea is that, who was here before us? And this kind of goes hand in hand with a lot of people like is it Graham Hancock, who does the Ancient Apocalypse show on Netflix? He's got a couple books out there, but his primary theory is that there was advanced civilizations 12,000, 13,000 years ago. And they left clues about that kind of thing. So his is far more academic in nature, Graham Hancock's, but then you get these other guys. And this stuff is called, the one name that I come up with, I see is Tartaria. Tartar with an IA at the end. Tartaria is a weird one. The storyline is not directly related to, I shouldn't read that. There's a lot of articles that associated with QAnon and their bloodletting, Satan-loving kind of stuff. And I don't know if that's, it's well known that the easiest way to suppress the truth, and this sounds conspiratorial, but it happens all the time when, there's uprisings and rebellions. You got to get these people to stop. So what do? You turn the masses on them, and you get them to treat that person like they're crazy kind of thing. And so if they're associating these people and their theories with well-known and like extremely bizarre groups like QAnon, it would deteriorate a bit their credibility, I think. So I take that with a grain of salt. I'm sure there's more fiction in there than fact, but I think it's fascinating to think that, a lot of these ornate buildings in North America weren't actually built, but they were discovered. And I am positive there are a million ways to poke holes in these arguments, but as we talked about earlier, I couldn't get enough information in the short amount of time I had once I thought to bring this onto the show, which was just a couple of days ago, because there are so many, it's a spider web of half lies and whole truths, or I don't know how it goes, whatever that saying is.
Yes.
But there is a huge part of me that wants some of these things to be real, just simply for how exciting it would be,
The thought of us being a much older civilization than we are, because according to the colonizer history books, they discovered and built everything. So
that's it. Like and
in North America,
they say the winners write history, and I mean, we take for granted that the things that we read and are taught because we don't think to question it always. It's certainly not when we're younger. But yeah, like, I mean, think of how many times, books have been updated because we've found new information and new knowledge, right? So I'm not saying that it's true, and I'm not saying that it was factual or historically accurate. What I'm saying is it's a really interesting theory, and I want it to be real, even if it's not completely real. Like, if it proves that there's a connection to a previous civilization that was technologically advanced, I think that's just, you know what I mean? To me, it opens up the possibilities of the universe. We live in this bubble right now of what we think we know. And if any one of these theories turns out to be true, aliens or whatever, then it means so many other things can be true because it's now possible.
Yeah, I was gonna add that with the government admitting that, there are what are they called? They're not called UFOs anymore.
UAPs.
UAPs, thank you. Yeah. So like they've admitted to a lot of alien life and proof that this exists. What that looks like, I don't think they've released that information, but it's possible maybe that the ancient civilization that we believe existed in what is now North America, maybe they were aliens. You know what I mean? Like maybe it was beings that are no longer even here. So, anyways, I'm curious.
Well,
about that too.
So my friend sent me a really interesting Facebook Messenger video. I think it was a YouTube clip or a Facebook clip, and and they were talking about human DNA and how human DNA follows Moore's law, which is where a system, and we usually use it in terms of technology. So like every 2 years, computers double in speed or become half as big. They become a smaller form factor with the same performance kind of thing. Well, they kind of did the reverse in terms of human DNA and went back, and you can only go back so far with unraveling the evolution of human DNA.
Yes.
And they said that when they got back to that the last place they could get to, which my understanding was this was the beginning of human DNA.
Yep.
Was 9 billion years ago.
Wow.
Which
modern day human DNA. So we're not talking like we're talking like, Homo sapiens.
No, we're talking, because we've evolved.
Yes. Yeah.
So are
we talking from first evolution?
First evolution, like the first, like human DNA version 1, and we're human DNA version 9 billion. You know what I mean?
Wow.
We've grown and evolved every, the system expanded, the system grew, exponentially to where we are now. And they say that the beginning point was 9 billion years ago.
It'll be like
which is crazy because, the Graham Hancock stuff, what he's suggesting is that humans existed 12,000, 13,000 years ago, and modern science does not agree with that. So if what this person is saying is true about DNA being originating 9 billion years ago, I think it's more plausible just in terms of billion. I think it's more plausible just because we accept that it's not what we are now, it's what we started from. But that number also is a little intimidating. If the Earth was only 13, 14 billion years ago, like I don't know.
We started pretty early on.
It would seem that way.
The modern iteration of humans is quite unique, and this particular time we're living in, I think, is like unbelievable. Like we were talking about this recently, I think, how like we're not meant to even drive cars as fast as we do.
Yeah,
and so
that was a great point.
That's like a high stress situation whenever you go driving somewhere, because like we're meant to be on foot or like maybe on horseback, I think. So yeah, to be in a car is like, whoa, wild.
Man.
And we all do it every day. Like it's no problem.
I wonder if horses think they drew the short straw. Like,
why?
of all the animals you could have picked to cart your fat ass around, you picked us.
Donkeys too, I guess, but like they're not for speed. They're just for like literally pack muling.
And to laugh at you. I want to, if you're all right with it, I'd like to finish with a thought. I was watching a YouTube video earlier. There's this gentleman, Rupert Spira. I think we've talked about him in previous a while back episodes. He was talking about awareness, and there's a metaphor he used, and this kind of comes back to how we can put ourselves in a position where we can be aware of our thoughts and aware of a situation we're in, and then decide what to do instead of just react. And he says, like, the sun doesn't have awareness outside of itself. It doesn't know that it heats the earth. It just heats the earth, right? The sun has no impact on the earth. It just provides warmth. And so the way I kind of translated that in my mind was, you would be the sun in this situation. And if you took a step back and just thought, okay, I'm completely separate from everything in my immediate surroundings right now. I have no impact on all this stuff. I'm just going to be me and do me. And now you kind of, it might help you create that time and space to no longer react to what's, and I'm kind of just picturing me when I like lose my patience with the kids kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
If I take a step back and be like, I have no impact on them. And I mean, I'm not saying this is a parenting model. I'm saying it's a good mental exercise to remove yourself from a situation that you're not going to contribute to in a positive way.
And I think like not in a sense of futility, like you're not looking at it and being like, there's no point. It's more just like, what is the point?
Yeah, exactly. What's the point in going down that road? And what you can say is, okay, so the sun just provides warmth to the earth. And in the situation with my kids, I say, okay, I'm going to provide guidance and boundaries or a good model for being an adult to my kids. And that's the impact I'm going to have. But I'm not going to try to impact them beyond that. And I think it might be an interesting experiment in terms of how much control we try to exercise over children. It's so easy for them. I mean, maybe it's just me, but I feel like every now and again we find ourselves in an argument with a 5-year-old. And you're like, what the fuck am I doing? You know what I mean? Why?
Bedtime tonight was similar for me, I think, because I've been doing this thing, and it's like it's only based off of like a couple people that I follow on TikTok who seem to have like positive parenting models, and they're like, ask them once, ask them twice, then go and like physically support them through the thing. Because you're just gonna repeat yourself over and over and over again. They're not listening. No, we're not talking anymore. Now I'm going to just like, I'll literally like walk them to the bathroom and then give them the toothbrush. I'm not talking. I put toothpaste on the toothbrush. I give it to them, and then they brush their teeth. And like, the idea is that it eliminates the argument that you're inevitably going to have if you just keep expressing yourself and feel like being unheard. Except for when your kids are so tired that no one's listening anymore. And so we got to that point tonight. We'd read the books. I said, Isla, go to your bed. I'm going to stay with Anson. And she's just talking over me. And like, it was like, in retrospect now, I'm like laughing. But in the moment, I was like, is anyone listening to me right now? Like, I'm looking around. Anson's like half asleep. He's like putting books away inside of this little, you know how a set of books will sometimes come in a box. He has these tiny little books that he's putting away in the box. And then Isla's telling me like, oh, one more thing. Like, she always says one more thing to share.
I fucking hate one more thing. My God.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're adorable. It's time to go to sleep now, though, and I try and like take turns with who I stay with first when Jordan's working
Is Jordan
evenings.
on nights?
Yeah, when Jordan's on nights. So like I try and, one day I stay with Isla first, the next day I stay with Anson first, and that way hopefully nobody feels like they're getting more or less time. I also set timers. Timers have changed my life. Anyways, all this to say, the arguments are inevitable and they're not futile, right? There's a point to them. And like, as you were saying, like when you're, anyways, I feel like I should conclude this, but oh, sorry, you cut out.
Oh, did I? I'm sorry.
Yeah. What were you saying?
I feel like oh my God, we're done now. Our brains are fried. We've culminated. The idea that you're gonna and we had that problem with Olivia tonight. She just wouldn't get ready for dance, and
the argument, and is it the hill you're willing to die on kind of thing?
And so what I'm taking from this is, in the future, I'll tell her once, I'll tell her twice, and then I will just take her and get her stuff and help her put it on. And that way I don't got to get worked up. She doesn't have to get worked up. And I feel like when you
the goal is accomplished. Yeah.
And when you don't do it that way, it's kind of like you're yelling at a flower to grow.
A little bit, I guess. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I never really thought of it like that.
And I didn't either. It's just when you mentioned that, I was like, man, you're right. Like they need to be supported probably much more than we think. And I think we forget how undeveloped they are because we see how far they've come.
Yes. Yeah.
And
that's a really good point.
I really appreciate that. I'm gonna use that for sure.
Yeah, but sorry, tie it back into the quote that you had read by Rupert.
Well, so you said it. It's. I'm laughing at it now.
Yeah.
But then I was angry, and I'm thinking, wouldn't it be nice to just always laugh at it? And you can take
a
step back
in the moment.
The moment, and I feel like what I'm saying there is just to not let it bother you. And to tie it kind of back into earlier parts of the conversation, having that awareness. Okay, I'm getting angry. I'm getting impatient. I like, for me, I feel myself like it's almost like my body starts vibrating and shaking because I'm trying so hard to just control these emotions that want to burst out.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be cool if I could just like ask myself why that's happening instead of engaging with this 5-year-old who is clearly winning their terrorism campaign? And
I think sometimes too it's like you're in. Like Jordan's gonna laugh again at this. You can't see the picture if you're in the frame.
That's
is that what it is?
That's one of them, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're describing, right? Like you have to be able to like take yourself out, remove yourself from the situation. Sometimes that's, I think, physical. Like sometimes I go into another room. Like I've gone into another room and grabbed a pillow, stuffed my face in it, and just like screamed and been like, okay, I'm good. Like I've screamed until I'm like, I can return and be a normal human being. Because like you're saying, you're angry and you've got to get that out. And like in the moment, you can't really place it. And so it's going to come out. It's going to come out. It's just a matter of where. Yeah.
And I think it's important to note here too, 2 things. Number one, if you practice this, you'll get better at it.
Yeah.
And eventually you'll stop reacting and you'll stop feeling that. And that's where I'm at in my life right now. I'm trying to just get better at identifying these things before they become problems.
Early on. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I forgot the second part.
Identifying before it happens. And
I think this is a really important one. If people who are listening don't already know this, or do already know this rather, just the episode's almost over. You can probably turn it off now.
No, listen to the end.
We really associate certain emotions with negativity, and I don't mean like anger is a negative emotion, but we think being angry is a bad thing. And
right.
And I think it's really important as I'm starting to learn and trying to incorporate. It's really difficult. That feelings are feelings. They're not good. They're not bad, but they do serve a purpose. It's your body's trying to talk to you. So when you're angry, it's not, oh, fuck, I wish I didn't get so mad. It's, man, I got to sit down and figure out why I got so mad. What about that situation triggered what inside me that I now got to go back and address so that this doesn't happen again?
Yeah. And it's often like completely unrelated to what is going on.
Oh, it has
in
nothing to do.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a plane crash. Like, there's never one mistake to a plane crash. There's always a bunch of things that have lined up.
Yeah.
When it's like the self-care thing I talked to you earlier about, you're not tired just because you did a few things today. Like, your brain's nonstop. Like, are you taking the breaks that you need with your emotions? It's this moment is not what caused this rage. It's this moment was the straw that broke the camel's back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Especially if it's like a
tough one.
Blow up. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And on that note,
perspective. I like that.
On that bombshell.
Yes.
Can we start using that now that they're done? Can we take that?
On that bombshell. Well, somebody's got to say it.
I think we should just start it, and then we'll be grandfathered in by the time the lawyers get involved.
Be like, who even started this? I didn't even know you guys were a show.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, friend.
We'll do this again next time.
Cool. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And yeah, see you next episode. Toodles.
I was waiting.